Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. Well, if you probably know, NXT, as you know, they'll be drawing up battle lines for the upcoming pay per view of No Mercy. But however, as you probably know, NXT are going to be preparing for their upcoming event the week after, back in Full Sail where it all started, called Homecoming. So we don't know what to expect. Who in the veteran side of NXT will show up. Last week we saw, of course, DIY. So this is going to be a bit more interesting. However, we do have the NXT Tag Team belt on the line, and not to mention a #1 contendership for the women's tag team belt. So that's going to be very interesting to watch. So we're going to go from A to Z on this whole thing. But first things first, many of you had know we already seen the round robin tournaments in Japan, such as, of course, the 5-star Grand Prix by Stardom, the G1 Climax by New Japan, and of course currently the Dream Star Grand Prix by Mighty Gold. However, Pro Wrestling Noah has just begun their annual round robin tournament known as the N-1 Victory. So we are going to be reviewing day one on this one. But not only we are going to be reviewing just the matches involving the N1 Victory, it just turns out that the GHC Junior Heavyweight Championship will be defended. Yohei, who is the current champion, is going to defend his championship against, of course, the man who declared himself as the face of New Japan Pro Wrestling. We're talking about the Time Bomb, Hiromu Takahashi. So this is going to be interesting to go on. I am excited to see what's going to happen. And then, as always, we'll cap up our episode, as usual, with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the yapping, let's get boogieing. So, let's begin with Pro Wrestling Noah with the N1 Victory. Okay, Pro Wrestling Noah. Of course, those who are familiarized with this promotion has been declared as the second best promotion in Japan. And of course, many of you may know the history. Now, if you're unfamiliarized with the event called the N-1 Victory, this is similar to the G1, in case anybody asks. You win a match, you get 2 points. If you lose a match, you get 0. But in a situation of a time limit draw or double countout, the competitor gets 1 point each. However, you also know the stipulation, what happens if you win. If the winner wins this entire tournament, they get a shot of the GHC Heavyweight Championship, which currently is in the possession of course, Kenta. Many of you know him. He was one of the original founders in the junior heavyweight division in Pro Wrestling Noah ever since then, when they first started. And of course, you've seen him on WWE as Hideo Hitomi, and then of course in New Japan as Kenta again, and that's so on and so on. Then he just recently made his return to Noah. So now he is the current champion. So, but however, for those who probably ask, since Kenta is currently in the tournament, some of you may ask, what happens if the winner wins? Well, the winner does get to call out his challenger. So basically, he gets to decide. So we'll see what happens until then. But however, we are in the early stages of day 1. And this took place recently, this past Monday, in Corkin Hall. So let's begin, of course, with the A block. Now we have, of course, Daga taking on Tetsuya Endo. So many of you may not know this. The Endo used to be part of the of Team 200X, 2000X, along with Daga until he left on his own accord, and now he's on the opposite side. But one thing is clear, of course, Daga has now made the shift from junior heavyweight to heavyweight, something we have been seeing with certain competitors, such as, of course, Kenta, Naomichi Marufuji, Will Ospreay, many others like that. So that's practically what we've been seeing. But in the end, of course, Daga was able to pick up the pinfall, gaining his first 2 points. So there goes right there. Now we jump in with 2 matches of the A block. Now the first one, we have Jack Morris, who returned recently internationally across the Atlantic. He faces against Daiki Inaba. Now, of course, many of you may not know, have not been following much of what's been going on with Noah. Sorry about that. Jack Morris used to be a member of Team 2000X until he was kicked out. But now he's on his own, trying to make a name for himself as well. But I wasn't too sure where this match was going to go, but Jack Morris was able to walk away with the win when he applied the Tiger Driver onto Inaba, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, first 2 points. Then we have, of course, Harutoki taking on Galeno de Mal. Many of you may know him. He is the son of the son of Dr. Wagner Jr., and his older brother is Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. As you know, Galeno is now following the footsteps of his big brother. As you know, he has made a name for himself in Noah for a while, and now it's the little brother's time to follow in his footsteps. And of course, he really was impressive. He was able to apply a moonsault, getting his first 2 points in the tournament, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now we jump back with the A block of the N1 Victory. We have Misa Kitamiya versus Manabu Soya. Now these two guys are no strangers from each other. Many of you may remember them. They used to be members of Congo, which was the faction that was ran by Keno until Misa Kitamiya just ventured out on his own, and now Misa Kitamiya is a member of Team 2000X. So you probably can guess that Team 2000 are trying to regain what was taken from them, which is, of course, the belt that Kenta has in his possession. But however, these two guys are two powerhouses that will refuse to stay down. But in the end, it was Misa Kitamiya that was able to walk away with the win when he applied a submission, and just like that, it was over. He got his first 2 points. Now we jump back with the B block of the N1 Victory. We have RKJ, also known as Ricky Knight Jr. Many of you may remember. He is the nephew of Saraya, aka Paige. He faces off against Keno, one of the toughest SOBs on the planet. So you probably know that's how it is. I mean, who would have thought? Some of you may question, is RKJ really going to join WWE since Noah and WWE are, of course, online? I'm not sure, guys. I mean, if he does, good for him. That's then he will be following his auntie's path, and hopefully that's the case, but we'll see. But anyway, the match was pretty good. I mean, Keno, as you all know, he is the kind of guy who refuses to stay down no matter what. He is tough as nails no matter what. But in the end, it was RKJ with the Ricky Driver that got him his first 2 points and made a full upset against Keno, who is one of the strongest competitors ever. So that was a very surprising one out there. Now, our next match, we had Kazuyuki Fujita taking on Oka Zazaki. This is part of the A block. Well, not too much to the story, but this match ended with Fujita applying a power bomb on Sasaki, and just like that, he got his first 2 points. Now, our next match, we have the N-1 Victory B block. We have the leader of Team 2000X, Ozawa, formerly the GHC Heavyweight Champion. He lost that belt against Kenta. And now he's facing, of course, the genius of the Arc, Naomichi Marufuji. So, of course, you know Ozawa is intending to pick up the win. And from what I can tell, he was the heavy favorite to win it. But unfortunately, after, of course, Naomichi applied a Sai moonsault, and just like that, they stayed a little long period down there. However, this match ended by countout. Apparently, Ozawa might have most likely injured himself again. So, basically, Naomichi Marufuji actually got his 2 points. But the obvious question does tell, what does this mean for Ozawa? Like, are we going to expect the same kind of fate that we saw with Gabe Kidd, who was unable to participate in the G1? We don't know yet until we hear something in day 2. So once we hear something about that, then we'll determine that. Now, taking a break from the tournament, we're going to jump into the only championship match in Noah, which is, of course, the GHC Junior Heavyweight Championship. Now, for some of you who are new, you ask yourself, what the hell is the GHC stands for? It stands for Global Honored Crown, and that's the governing body of Pro Wrestling Noah. They do have, of course, the heavyweight title, the heavyweight tag team belts, the junior heavyweight championship, which we're doing right now, and of course the junior heavyweight tag team belts, and the national championship, and not to mention the women's championship as well. But of course, the challenger is Hiromu Takahashi. He takes on against Yohei. Now, I don't know what's the significance for Hiromu to, of course, to challenge for this belt, but it wouldn't surprise me if he decides that he wants to become a Triple Crown champion in the junior heavyweight division for all 3 brands of Japan. For those who may not know this, if you win the 3 championships from all 3 brands, like from all 3 promotions, like New Japan, All Japan, Pro Wrestling Noah, you're a Triple Crown. The only one I know that has done this with the junior heavyweight division in Japan was Naomichi Marufuji. He had held the GHC Junior Heavyweight Championship, the All Japan Junior Heavyweight Championship, and not to mention the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. I don't know if there's been others after him. I wouldn't be surprised if that's Hiromu's plan, his goal. But if that is, then good for him. Then he's trying to do something that needs to be done. But Yohei, I have to say, he is one of my favorite wrestlers from Noah. Obviously, some of you may want to ask me, why is that? Simple. Yohei has worked real hard to get to the top. He has failed to obtain this belt until he finally won it. And now he has to face against a man who has been declared as the face of the junior heavyweight division in New Japan. And of course, the last thing I think Yohei wants is to lose this belt to an outsider, which is a bad thing for anybody who is not familiarized in the Japanese culture. So that's what really happened. But unfortunately, Yohei lost his belt by pinfall by Hiromu, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, you know for a fact that the Noah Juniors were not going to take this kindly. I saw Itsuki Ayuki, Junta Miyawaki, and I forgot who's the other guy, but the one person who felt like he is going to take a crack at him, and is, of course, Eita. Eita, as many of you may know him, he has been declared as the face of Noah. And now he's going to be the first one to take a crack at Hiromu. So the real question is, can he pull it off? Can he bring this belt back to Noah? Which is, of course, something that the Noah fan base are asking. So we'll just have to wait and see. Now, our next match is the main event of the A block of the N-1 Victory. We have, of course, Kaito Kiyomiya taking on the current GHC Heavyweight Champion, Kenta. So this is going to be awesome. I mean, Kenta, one of the toughest competitors, and not to mention, this is his home. Noah, I felt like with New Japan, he was never the right fit there. I mean, Noah's always been his home, and that's where he got his recognition there as well. If anybody's not familiarized with his work, so if you guys should go on YouTube and check it out. But man, they did not hold any punches whatsoever. But unfortunately, Kaito Kiyomiya applied a skywalk elbow, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he won the match, got his first 2 points, and this is Kenta's first loss. Now, however, here's the indication for many of you who don't know. In a situation like this, if Kaito Kiyomiya is unsuccessful to win the tournament, then he could cash in an opportunity. Since he pinned Kenta, he could challenge him for the belt at any given time before whoever's supposed to challenge him after winning the N-1 victory. So that could happen. So we'll see what happens down the road. But as of right now, we are officially done with Noah. Let's do our last and final review, and of course that is NXT. Okay, our last review, NXT. We opened up, of course, with Javon Evans decided to jump away to handle business against Josh Briggs. If you guys remember last week, Javon Evans was trying to give an explanation of what happened when he lost to Obafemi in Heatwave. However, Josh Briggs is like, shut up, no one wants to hear you yapping. So that's how this whole thing has happened. However, in the early stages of this match, Javon Evans was trying to, of course, build up the momentum. But however, when it comes to Josh Briggs, well, as you all know, he finds ways, dirty tricks, or should I say, to pick up the win. He used some sort of weapon on the back of the head of Javon Evans. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, General Manager Ava has just had enough with this whole crap between Ricky Saints and Obafemi. So they decided, next week they had to have face-to-face confrontation. So that was the whole thing. Until, of course, Trick Williams shows up, running his mouth. But he asked Ava that he got his request. We didn't know what he meant by that, but that's something that was coming up next. Now, however, as you know, last week we saw DIY, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano making their presence known. Last week they even surprised Trick Williams, but they often said that they always remember where they come from. Of course, NXT has been one of their greatest moments, if you guys remember. I know some fans would say they look more better on NXT than it did of course, in the main roster. And obviously we can agree about that. But however, of course, Trick Williams shows up and decided, that he goes out saying, you guys are just jealous of me. But of course, that's not the case for DIY. But of course, they brought in someone who used to be in NXT. That person is, of course, is him. That's right. Carmelo Hayes made his return. So most likely we will see Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes team up once again, taking on DIY. And I believe that could happen in Homecoming. So we'll see if that happens. Now, our next match is a WWE Women's Speed Tournament. We have Lainey Reed versus Fabi Apache. Now, for those who are not familiarized with Fabi Apache, she is one of the best female wrestlers in AAA. She's been with the company for many years. Her father was there too, so was her sister. I think that's pretty much it. But, oh yeah, and of course, her ex-husband too, not to mention that. But not to mention, of course, this match took a turn for Fabi when out of nowhere Natalya showed up and costing her the match, giving Lainey Reed to pick up the win, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, Soruka along with Zarya bump into Hank and Tech, who are prepared for their tag team match against, of course, Dark State. And of course, the Hank and Tech kind of told them, are you guys ready for your match? So basically, it's like they're both motivating each other, knowing too well that they're going to have a blast of their lives. So we'll see how that goes. Now, Blake Monroe, as you know, she is not happy with the results of what's been going on with Jordan Grace. I mean, she might have awakened the beast, but we'll see what happens from there. Now, our NXT Tag Team title match, Dark State, Osiris, and Dion Lennox defend their championships against the former champs, Hank and Tank. Now, of course, you know there's a disadvantage of this. As you probably know, we have Sugar and Carter James on the outside to ensure that this match goes in their favor. However, Cutler James decided to say, Joe Hendry's not here, and say his name. He just appeared. Yeah, basically, he just said his name. I don't think he expected it, but I'm starting to think this was possibly a trap, because apparently Cutler James led Joe Hendry to the ring, and of course being ejected by the ref. And this led, of course, for Lennox to pin Hank, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. So I would like to say that maybe Darkstate found a way to ensure that this match stayed in their favor by playing the game, knowing that if they call Joe Hendry, well, they can play a little game right there. So who knows? We'll see what happens from there. Now, our next match is called a flag match. Now, for those who are not familiarized with it, I kind of forgot about this match for a long time. This is a match where you have to pull down a flag. Basically, it's like an international. Today is, of course, Tavion Heights representing the United States, Ethan Page representing, of course, Canada. Now, of course, you probably would think that Ethan Page, being the slime that he is, that he will try to pick up the win. Well, nope, it didn't work. Tavion Heights was able to pull down his flag, and then, of course, he pulled down the flag of Canada, but he draped them all over on top of Ethan Page. However, while Tavion Heights was on his way out, a familiar presence appeared, and that is Tyler Breeze. So it seems now he's gunning for the NXT North American Championship, and this could happen at Homecoming next week. Now, Lexis King, as you probably know, once again, he is bragging about how he defeated Miles Bourne, thinking that it's over, it's done, I don't need to deal with that idiot, that Froster, and then, bam, here comes Miles Bourne, turned off the lights, and whack him, and he told him, I'm not done yet. So you gotta ask yourself, did Alexis King got too carelessness not to notice he pissed him off, knowing too well? He can mock him for being deaf all he wants, but the guy has a big ego that you don't want to be around. So I wouldn't be surprised if Lexis King decides to complain about it. So we'll see where that happens. Now, our main event is a #1 contendership for whoever challenges for the WWE Women's Tag Team belts. We have Zarya and Zo Ruka, Tatum Paxley and Izzy Dame of The Culling, and then, of course, Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix of the Fatal Influence. Now, of course, this is going to be determined who's going to face the tag champions. But in this case, what's interesting is there was a bit of a miscue by Soul Ruka and Zarya, where Soul actually accidentally put the Soul Snatcher onto Zarya, and then they were eliminated, and then Izzy was able to make the pinfall on Fallon. That makes them the #1 contender. However, of course, JZJ not happy with the results of what happened, pissed off that things are not going their way. Out of nowhere, 3 cars just appeared. We don't know what was going on. The first one was Stephanie Vaquer, who we haven't seen for quite some time. And of course, Stephanie reminded her, you were the one who beat me for that belt. Because of course, Jay-Z Jane was saying she is the best NXT Women's Champion. And of course, here comes, it's Tiffy time. Well, she showed up telling her, I'm the longest reigning Women's Champion. But you being the best, I don't think so. And then, of course, Jay-Z Jane had to call, oh, we're not going to deal with some veteran seniors coming here. And, of course, Tiffany tells Stephanie, I don't think Mommy appreciates being called that. Nope. And, of course, Rhea Ripley. And, of course, Jay-Z Jane's like, I didn't mean to do that. Well, too late. So, apparently, it was declared Rhea Ripley, Tiffany Stratton, and Stephanie Vaquer will deal with the Fatal Influence next week at Homecoming. And I think this is the last thing that Jay-Z Jane and the rest of the Fatal Influence need. This most likely could be, of course, the beginning of cracks within the Fatal Influence. So we'll see how that would progress. So stay tuned for that. But as of right now, we'll end things here with NXT. Let's move on with our last and final thing, news update. So welcome to our news update. So let's begin with upcoming events. First one we have, of course, two matches from the Japanese promotion known as PPP Tokyo, and this will happen in on September 11th, of course, in Shinjuku Face. The first one is Ichika Nayabi taking on Hanako from Stardom. However, it was noted that Ichika will be celebrating her third year anniversary since her debut, which is going to be an awesome experience. And then it was also revealed that Shanyota will be teaming up with Riara to take on Ryo Mizunami and Natsu Surime. MLW has announced for the Fightland event on the 13th of September for the opening round of the 2025 Opera Cup tournament. It was revealed that Kushida will be in action to take on Austin Aries. Oz Academy has announced for their upcoming event on the 14th of September in Nishida Tetsu Hall. Azuki will team up with Hiroyu Matsumoto and Zones to take on Akino, Kohaku, and Unagi Sayaka. Sendai Girls announced for their upcoming event on the 23rd of September at the Sendai Sun Plaza Hall for the Yoshi Puruso Big Show. FWC, Koguma, and Azuki will take on Baba Momo Banana. But it was noted, whoever walks out as the winner of this match will challenge for the Sendai Girls tag team belt. So that's going to be very interesting to see. And I wouldn't be surprised if FWC end up being the winners, because we know they won the Oz Academy belts this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they win the Sendai Girls tag team belts this year. Now, ChocoPro has announced for their upcoming event on 5th of October at Itabashi Green Hall. Two matches have been announced. As you all know, I haven't seen the match yet, but the Super Asia Championship, the newly crowned Rina Yamashita will defend her championship against Antonio Honda. And later was announced that Sayaka Obihiro, aka Obi, will be facing off against Hiroyi Yawada. And then, of course, we have Pro Street Wrestling with Roseland 12 on the 5th of October. It was announced that the Prestige Tag Team belts will be defended. The current champions, Midnight Heat, I forgot their names, they face against the Good Brothers. Yep, Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows. And then finally, we have GCW with Fight Club Night 2 on the 12th of October in AC. It was announced that Drew Parker will take on Mr. Danger. Now on to some developments. Bryan Danielson has mentioned who he believes is the best in the world. So he named a couple of names. So let me pull that up right here on my phone. I have that saved up. Yep. So he says, as far as people in AEW, I think Bandido has had a great, incredible year. He is the ROH champion, and he has this match with Hechiseto on Ring of Honor pay-per-view. That was just awesome. And then there's Will Ospreay, Swerve, Hangman. Hangman is freaking awesome. Kyle Fletcher, there's just too many guys. And that's even discounting the women, right? You look at Toni Storm, Mercedes Moné. They're both fantastic. It's hard for me to say because everybody wrestles kind of different styles, and there's a New Japan wrestler that I love, Zack Sabre Jr., and I think Zack, he is wrestling completely different style than anybody I see. I just find it to be super compelling. So yeah, so that's basically what he says. Then of course, Casey Cantazano, many of you may know her as Katana Chance, talked about the possibility if there is a chance she could return to wrestling, and this is what she says. This is not a definite question that I get a lot right now, and it's really hard to question it. For me, I still have a couple of weeks to felt until I hit my 3-month mark post my nose surgery, where I even feel comfortable getting back into any type of physical like that. I'm really not doing full workouts right now. My recovery and not wanting to rush really kept me safe and heal possible with everything that I went through in recovery. As far as I know, that's the kind of an excuse that I allowed to use, not having the answer yet. So in a couple of weeks, when I do have that excuse, I guess we'll have to check back and see what it is then. See the new answer. Anything possible, it's going to be my answer. So yeah, so basically, she's not thinking about that right now. So she's taking care of the injury she has. It's totally respectable, because here's the thing, guys. You can't focus on that while you're focusing on one thing. If she has this injury that she has to take care of, that's the main focus. And if until then, she'll give that definitive answer that everybody's been asking. Now, Bandido has recently talked about what a great year he's having for 2025. You know, he has yet to, his goal is to wrestle at Hammerstein Ballroom, and this is what he had to say. I think this has been the best year of my career without a doubt. I have a lot of blessings to come after time due to the injury. It is something that is hard to explain, because a lot of feelings are found. I thought it would be able to step foot inside a wrestling ring after all the injuries and surgeries. I thought things would be the same, so being able to close out the year in Forbidden at the fashion has been incredible. Now the only thing missing in my personal career is wrestling inside the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York, because that's where I supposed to return and ended up concussed. I got nerves about that place, but we gotta face it. Continue to give everything close out the year is the best possible manner. So yeah, so that's like one of the things that he wants to close out, and of course it's an awesome goal for him to do. Now finally, Josh Alexander. Now some people may say, who are just straight up WWE fan base, you could say about Josh Alexander, they probably would say Josh Alexander made the dumbest mistake going to AEW. Well, he kind of said something that kind of went on, saying that he didn't grow up with dreams of performing at WWE Wrestlemania. Yeah, so basically he's saying WrestleMania was not in his bingo card. Now I know some WWE fan base would say that's a little horse crap, it should have been. Well, it turns out that he's not the only one who kind of has that same kind of feeling. A guy named Eric Stevens, he said this: when I was 18 years old and decided I want to become a professional wrestler, I had no aspirations of performing at WrestleMania. I didn't want to wrestle for WWE or WCW. I wanted to wrestle in Japan. That's it. So basically, we need to understand. Some people can say Josh Alexander made the biggest mistake going to AEW. He should have gone with WWE. That's where he should have gone. Look, guys, wrestlers have their own perspective, what they want to do. Some people feel like WWE cannot give them what they want. Some wrestlers want to wrestle in the independents as well by being in a major promotion. But WWE can't do that. Zack Sabre Jr. is one of those guys. You know? And of course, if there's wrestlers like Josh Alexander, this guy Eric Stevens says, I never planned the wrestling in WrestleMania. That's one thing we need to respect. They have their own perspective. If you can't respect their perspective on how they feel, then you guys don't know anything about these wrestlers whatsoever. I respect them because of what they can bring into the wrestling business. I mean, they have their own way of styles and all that, so we'll see how that rolls up. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for today. So as of right now, let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody has enjoyed this episode. Coming up, we probably will have, of course, WWE Evolved and AEW Dynamite. However, as we speak, we have, of course, Stardom with their latest event in Korakuen Hall. This one features, of course, the High Speed Championship, and the main event is the Artist Championship. The members of Hate, Konami, Rina, and Fukigen Death will challenge for the Artist belts against Neo Genesis, Miyu Amasaki, Azumi, and Starlight Kid. So we'll see how things will roll up. But if I do get a chance to see that, I'll get that done. So as of right now, that's pretty much the plan. So the top priority is AEW Dynamite and WWE Evolve. But if I do get a chance with Stardom, then we'll get that done too. So as of right now, we'll leave things as it is. Until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah, and have a nice day.